Meeting to order.
So that's a little bit.
Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Public forum. Is there anybody in the public that'd like to approach the board? Now's your time. Moving on to our presentations, the high school robotics team. Welcome.
Good evening. Is this good? Should I bring it down?
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Pam Fear-Hansen. I'm a high school teacher of science, and I'm one of the high school mentors. And you'll get a chance in a few minutes to meet everybody that's here, but I'd kind of like to just give you an idea about what our robotics team does. This is the part of our team that competed this year. We also had some other members that weren't able to go with us to the University of Minnesota to compete. And I wanted to just point out some of the skills that are developed by the students when they participate in robotics. Some of these include planning and designing. Sometimes that means arguing to support that your idea is the best idea, and problem solving as you go along. There's, of course, the building part of it, using power tools and equipment. Sometimes people come in and they've never used the equipment before, and so they really learn a lot in the process. And one thing I'll say about that is every year we get a new challenge. We start with just pieces of metal, and so you're really building the robot from scratch when you do that. There's programming, there's electrical, there's problem-solving skills, also some collaboration and team building, because you really need to work together for the common goal, and different people have different ideas about how things might work the best, and so you have to work through those. And then communication, both with the team members and also at the competition. These people are interviewed by judges, and they have to come around and explain how we built the robot, why we chose this design, and they need to do that as well. And we are a member of FIRST Robotics. This is an international program, and when we compete at the U, there's usually at least one international team that's represented. When we get the challenge, we have 6 weeks to do the build. It's announced internationally at the same time, so nobody gets a head start on the project. So, and in this program, they design, build, and program a robotic to meet a different challenge. So our build usually takes place at BH Electronics. And I'm going to ask a couple students if they'd come up and tell a little bit about that process. Come on. Oh, and David, would you go up there too? Yep. You can kind of alternate. He's got the wheel. Yeah. He's got the wheel.
So overall with BH, that's the location where we do all of our building. John typically heads that up, John DeCramer. He's kind of the safety guy, especially because it's his location pretty much. But they provide all of the tools, both the drills, the saws, the screws, the aluminum. That's where about, I'd say, 99% of our work takes place at BH Electronics.
And
Oh, yes. My name is Jet Skrine, and it's my 4th year here at robotics because I'm a senior now.
I'm David Black. This is also my 4th year in robotics. I'm sad to have to go. But this was really our holy grail of build projects this year, were these wheels, which went through, probably 20 different iterations before we got something that worked acceptably to go on our robot and actually perform for us in the competition. But what these do, they're called Mecanum wheels, and they allow you to drive either forward or backward, and then without turning the wheels. So the orientation of the wheels stays the same, but they turn at different speeds in different directions. It allows you to turn in place or just drive sideways, or at any angle 360 degrees. So you can stay pointed, say your robot's going north, you can drive to any point on the compass without changing the direction your robot's pointing. So this was our design project, and if you hear people snickering about team building and stuff, these got rebuilt countless times. Countlessly. Thank you.
You didn't get frustrated, did you?
Me?
Just a couple pictures from the build. There's also the programming, and JP and Ivan, would you two want to come up and introduce yourselves and talk a little bit?
I'll just talk. I'm JP Rebay. This is my 2nd year in robotics. And this year we undertook a huge new programming project. We switched from LabVIEW, which is a comfortable software that we've used for many, many years, to Java, which is the language that the academic community uses. So it dovetails really nicely now with some high school courses. But programming for robotics, you get a whole new set of experiences. Every code loop is running over and over and over again. So continuous operation throws everything off for those of us who are used to a program that goes down and does its thing and then turns off. And yeah, it posed a lot of challenges. We had some interesting things happen, I heard, at the tournament, but I wasn't there to see them.
So Ivan, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
I'm Ivan Hudson. I did learn a lot from the programming this year. I can say that, as he said, it's a lot different having all the loops of code running. And from my experience, I haven't ever done anything like that before. So.
And Mecanum wheels took some work in the programming too.
Yeah.
They just pushed the joystick. We had to make it go whichever direction.
Thank you. And just a little bit more about design. And Reed, maybe I'll have you come up and just talk a little bit about these wheels as well. I remember on the day that we started this, we were putting together plates with little wooden beads on them. And do you want to kind of talk about the progression and what some of the factors were that we ran into?
I'm Reed Schurman. I'm a sophomore, and this is my 2nd year for robotics. So when we started, we had wooden macrame beads as our wheel, and it slipped a whole lot, so we weren't able to actually move around. And then we tried shrink wrapping. You can see the white shrink wrap we used, and we tried hoping that it would add more friction so that we wouldn't slip as much. And it worked a little bit, but it wasn't the greatest. Then we ended up taking a macrame bead, and we had BH cast it, and they made us, I don't know, like 100 or so of these wheels, the rollers. And then I drilled them all out, and then we put in the stuff, and yeah, they worked pretty good at the competition. So, yeah.
So I have a few pictures of at the competition, and just in case you think that you go in and you just run it each round, it's not quite true. Between every round, we're in the pit right there, and we've gotten just about as fast as NASCAR when you need to switch modes. So I'm going to ask Nicole to come up and just tell a little bit about how the competition's organized.
Hi, I'm Nicole Sample, and I'm a senior, but this is my second year. So you get to the competition, and the first day is basically set up. So we get into the pit, we set up, we bring in all our tools and the robot, and pass inspection. This year I think it went a lot smoother than usual, because you got to be within certain parameters and have everything functioning properly. But then you get to hope and pray that it works next day. So then you compete 4 or 5 times a day sometimes, usually. And
9 total.
was it 9?
9 total.
9 total, yeah, okay. Over 3 days, I think. And I think we're randomly grouped into teams of 3, so you go 3-on-3 per match. So you have to do a lot of cooperation and a lot of communication with those other teams. And then in between each of your matches, sometimes you'll have like half hour, 20 minutes, sometimes you'll have an hour, and then you're just trying to fix everything and keep it working properly for the entire day, switching out batteries, keeping it charged and in one piece, and go up or down based on your rankings and how you do with your teams. So
Reed told us that kind of how you, the level of competition kind of determines how well you do, or how highly you're placed. Is that right?
yes, it comes down to a certain matter of chance in that. So it's if you are put into a group that happen to have 3 really good members on it, and then you're going up against a group that maybe by chance had 3 robots that did something else or weren't working properly during that particular match, then it could have bumped those down further in the rankings than was for the other teams up. And kind of depends on if you've got one of those top-ranked teams pulling you, or if you're...
Who you're paired up with.
Yeah, who you're paired up with, how well you function as a team unit, and if your robots all complement each other to complete the task properly. But
Maybe just explain that there's 3 robots in a coalition.
right, yeah. It's
To accomplish one task?
yes, you have 3 robots, so 3 different teams paired onto one alliance, and then that will go against the other alliance. And you would switch the bumpers, so you have blue bumpers and you have red bumpers, and you detach based on which one you're paired onto that round. So you would be, so for that one we were getting ready for a blue competition with the blue team, and we would be with 2 other robots who were also on the blue alliance, and we would go head to head with 3 other ones and complete.
To accomplish what?
There was a one big switch in the middle, and you wanted to move blocks, and you wanted to take possession of that, and based on how many seconds you had possession for, you could get points. You could also get points for crossing a line in the first few seconds of the match when it's called autonomous mode, so you don't have anyone controlling it, it's just driving on its own. And there are 2 other scales on the side where you also want to take possession of those, and you want to just be moving the blocks all over the field at all times and trying to score as many points as you can for your team and keep possession of the switches. Yes, those.
And that changes every year as well.
It does. That was just this year's. Yeah.
The tasks change each time?
Every year, yes. And we don't know until January 1st. Yeah. Yes. So.
And then you have 6 weeks to build.
Yes. Plan, build, figure it out.
Speaking of 6 weeks to build, and you're at B&H, I'm guessing that's the end of a school day and a weekend. How many hours did you put in to put this project together?
Oh boy, countless hours per person. After school, I think we meet at 3:30 whenever anyone could make it, and depending on the day, that could go until 4:30. That could go until 6:30, 7, and then Saturdays we meet at 10 a.m. and go pretty much all day. So 6 weeks of 2 to 3 hours a day. Saturdays like 5 or 6. Putting it light.
Or are there more kids involved?
There are more involved. Yes, a few more. A few more. Yes.
So, can we do the video? Reed, are you willing to come up and do play-by-play on the video? So it's really hard to picture what this is like until you actually see a competition. So Reed was our driver, and so he's going to try and give you a little bit of play-by-play action to let you know what we're trying to accomplish and how you get points in this. Do you want to explain what the power-up is as well?
Yeah. So at the beginning, we start with the autonomous mode. So we have the code and we have it all set up, and as the match starts, they will choose, or they'll start the match, and then it'll send code to a robot, and then our robot will take that autonomous code and it will perform the action. So what we had it coded to do is just drive straight forward. In ours, it didn't drive straight forward, it curved a little bit at the end, and it wasn't exactly what we wanted, but we still passed the line and got 5 points. And so if you play it. And then...
So ours is 2515. It's the one here in the front.
And then you can hear the bell as it goes off. And right there I'm trying to get the claw out of the lift, because the claw had to start inside the robot perimeters. I was trying to get it out so I could actually grab the blocks and do something. And there I got it out. And on the side there, our teammates 3081, we're trying to get blocks into the vault. And for each block into the vault, we got 5 extra points. So we were trying to get those in, and with 3 of them in, we could get Elevate, which is 30 points. And then you can see how I'm grabbing blocks and I'm bringing them over to them so they can push it in. I wish our lift was a little bit faster so we were able to get more blocks onto the scale. But so the scale is about 6 feet tall, and we had to put blocks on it to gain ownership. And there that was the only time I think I was able to put one up there because it was just so slow. And yeah, we have possession of the switch the whole time, so we were gaining points every second that was running. And we also have possession of the scale, so we're gaining points for that. And then we're just putting blocks into the vault.
A strategy with your other teams
Yep.
before you start and how you're going to do it?
Yep, and then for the last 30 seconds, they'll time 30 seconds and they'll set off an alarm. And at that 30 seconds, every team tries to climb. So there's a rung about like a foot wide, and 3 robots are supposed to climb to get the max amount of points. And it's really difficult. So some teams have arms that flap down. And for us, we did have a climbing mechanism, but it didn't work too great. So I just tried to park on the platform to get 5 points, and wasn't able to get up there because the robots are so big, and the platform it's not as big enough. So yeah, that's basically what every match looks like.
So how did you get selected to be the driver?
Um,
Default.
yeah, I guess. My dad was the lead programmer, and he wrote most of the programming, and I was next to him through most of it. And so when he was deciding what button should do what, I was next to him deciding, I want this one to do this one to make it easy. And it was either going to be me or JP, but JP ended up not being able to go, so I ended up with that one. So yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Very much so.
But you said now if you had to do it again, you'd probably make your elevator
Yeah.
faster.
If
So
we
that's,
could make it any bit faster.
that's what normal engineers do, right? They evaluate it every time they do it to make it better. And each time each robot you'd make would be even better. Great learning experience.
So it sounds like you had the most challenges with those wheels. Were there other teams that had similar design, or
There
was
were.
everything different?
There was a lot of teams that had normal wheels with tank drive, which is just it can turn and stuff, which is pretty basic. And then there's a few teams that have Mecanum wheels, but some teams find that they slip really easily, so they decide to go with other wheels. Like one thing that I want to do next year is use Omni wheels. So they're kind of cool.
Big laugh out of that one.
Yeah. So Omni wheels, they have the wheels, instead of being like this, this piece is solid, and then they have two rollers on each side that roll like this, and so it makes it faster for turning. So if you can have two Omni wheels on either the front or the back, and then normal wheels on the other spots, and just have tank drive, it'll turn really fast.
Are you scored for your design of your robot? Do you get any points for?
So the judges come by and they ask us about our robot and everything, and they'll decide which team had the best ingenuity on whatever they did to make their robot like unique or whatever. And sadly, we thought we might be in the runnings, but we didn't win for that award. But yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into like just even wheels. This was a lot of planning.
So Reed, if the Omni wheel I gather is a little more expensive, are you limited with a budget that you have to work within for the contest? Not one that's maybe whatever Bruce gives you, but contest parameters too?
I think the first has a limit of how much is it? 4,000 for you can spend on your robot. And there's a lot of teams out there that have like a really big budget, and then we're running on as much as we can just get from our donor, our sponsors and stuff. So.
For example, last year they used garage door tracks
Yep.
for the robot.
Yep, we used the garage door.
Literally. Literally, yes.
Yeah.
Is that your idea, John?
This is Lord Diver.
What do you think you spent? What do you think kind of budget you operated on?
Nicole, do you remember what the budget came out to?
I didn't have all the prices, I just sent the list to you.
We had a expense report, so.
And good evening, John DeKramer. And Nicole did put the bill of material together, but she didn't have all the pricing. So we do need to provide a bill of material to the judges when we start. If we totaled up our basic raw material as we start out with raw aluminum, things like that, and all the components, the robot, went out and purchased it, would be about $2,500. So that's kind of the start. A little bit, Bruce knows in our financing, it's a $5,000 registration fee that we need to get into first. We've been very fortunate in that all of the years, Medtronic has been one of our sponsors, and they've given us $2,000. Last couple of years, we've also had Monsanto as a sponsor, and they've actually paid in $5,000, and so that all goes into first, and then we're able to request the $2,000 back that were overpaid, and we can use that then for some of the material, plus then whatever we can get from, let's say, a variety of sponsors. I'd have to say, get a call out to Action Track Chair, who did fantastic job. The wheels that we're making kind of a big thing about, it's quite a change, because every wheel has to have its own transmission and its own motor in order to operate, and they're all operated independently and at different speeds, different directions at any one time. So it is a little bit of a deal, and like JP says, kind of a headache programming. But with the help of Action Track, we were able to make a wheel that if we went out and purchased that wheel, which we could, was about $125, $150 a wheel. What we put into it, if we look at the raw material that did go into it, these cost somewhere in a range of about $30, and most of the materials were supplied by our sponsors. So reality, we've got by quite a bit less than that. So, but we kind of started from that direction, and that changed our chassis and everything else from there, as you heard a little bit, and the snickering that's going on. So,
John, you've been the catalyst for this program since day one, and I asked you, you've been at it for 10 years. You have been the backbone. So,
well,
well, I know you're modest, but you just don't want to.
There's a lot of people that are involved.
A lot of the fundraising too, and that's been terrific.
So, yeah, I'll thank Brian Jones for roping me into that 10 years ago. But yeah, it's been fun though too. Let's get a chance to see this, and what we haven't talked about is what happens to our students when they leave and when they're going through this. We've had students that have moved on that never gave a thought of being into robotics are now into robotics or into programming systems. They're one that went into a bioengineering, so really biology and electronics together, based on the fact that they were just enjoyed working on the robot. So that's really the whole point of it, is showing the students what else can be done. There's a lot of things that happen in this. Like I said, the electronics, the mechanical, the programming, there's a lot of things that have to come together. And, it's a nice thing to see. And I would also make the comment, as long as I'm up here, that really at the high school, you've got a lot of the foundation that's going towards that even just a little bit of tweaking would be nicer, or maybe to get some students prepared. Like JP said, we've started now programming in Java. You've got a Java class out there. A lot of the drawings need to be in CAD to see how things fit together. You've got a CAD program, you've got a pre-engineering program, you've got woodworking, you've got some metalworking, you've got a lot of the pieces that really do fit together nicely into the whole robotics program. So it's a good foundation and worth building a little bit more on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'll just finish up first of all by thanking our sponsors. As John mentioned, we've had really tremendous support from the community, and we really appreciate it. BH Electronics has donated their space, and John, and in previous years, helped with programming. They've been instrumental. Action Track Chair, also Monsanto with funding. Fagan has donated both equipment and money towards our program. Next Era Energy, obviously the FIRST Robotics program, Bendrite, Medtronic has been instrumental in Minnesota. This was a fun fact this year that there are now more robotics programs in Minnesota than there are hockey teams in Minnesota. So,
State of robots now.
yeah, building skills for the 21st century. So, and then, of course, last but not least, Marshall Public Schools. And go back one here. And then we've been fortunate to have some wonderful mentors, as you know, John Dick Kramer. Keller Shearman is not able to be here tonight, but he really helped with the programming this year. Kurt Timmerman. Joe, would you please stand up? Corey Peralt, Randy Schultz, my cohort at the high school, Sharon Jensen, and of course myself. So thank you for listening to us and letting us show you what robotics is about. You want to show the robot?
Yeah, before while they're getting ready to go, just talk about some Humboldt people. Pam and Sharon do a fantastic job of organizing things, getting us organized, which was a big task in itself the last couple of years, and coordinating things in the school. So just a big thank you to those two. They did a great job, and they continue on that.
Come back there? You want them to come back here?
That's a good sign, the light's on.
Pump back. It just wouldn't work.
Yesterday, I think, Greenbush was
Yeah.
continued success with it.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
John, can you pick up our middle school principal? That'd be kind of.
Oh, yeah, she's pretty daring, sitting right where
Yeah.
Floating up right here is our claw. The way it works is we have a motor on the back that is it's a window opener in a car, and we've got pins sticking out on the side, and then it'll twist it, and the pins will move it fly in and out. So, and then that slides up and down on our lid, which doubles, and it goes, I don't know, 84 inches. So it goes pretty high, and then here was our climbing hook. Our plan was to lift it up and then put this on the rung, and then as we backed our robot out, it would let go, and then you could have this on and then crank it up. But we never used that. And then our robot was pretty simple this year, as in like the amount of things it had to do. But yeah, is there enough yet?
No communication is like the perpetual plague of not being able to get the robot to talk to the actual joystick. So it's never a good sign.
So you get to see their problem-solving skills right here, right now.
So, John, is it sometimes hard when they get frustrated for you not to enter in and say, have you thought about this?
Oh, I usually jump in at times. So we can only keep quiet so long. But this isn't the idea. They need to figure it out.
Nicole.
Yeah, so I'm unable to access. Oh, okay.
Bill needs to talk to you.
What's that?
Have them talk to you for a while.
No, I'll just talk. That communication? I just said the phone after everything.
This is like
Good sell. Good sell.
We have a dedicated wireless network at the competition, so when we're actually competing, we don't usually have this problem. But without a dedicated wireless network, it's a little bit hit and miss. May not be working on something.
Same with the joystick problem. We had a lot of problems with our controller at competition as well. So
That's no problem. We're going to go ahead and,
Maybe another night.
yeah, we're all proud of you for what you're doing, and I just think it's a great program, and where it started years ago to where it is now, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Thank you for your dedication. You make us proud. Thank you.
Nice job.
Good job.
Moving on to our consent agenda, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Any comments? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Financials.
Tricia, if you'd put up the finance report. In all my years of doing this financial report, this is the first time where we don't have it by fund category. And when I got the information from Carla on accounts payable, the detailed payment register fund summary was off about $19,000. It detailed, like how much was in the general fund, food service fund, and so on. But it was off. It didn't match the payment register that you have in your packet. And so we contacted the service cooperative, and the service cooperative said that there's a glitch in the program. We're not the only district that is having this issue. And so that was like on, I think, Wednesday or so. Anyway, tried to work through it even this morning, and we haven't been able to discover what the issue is. And so rather than listing by fund category when they won't be accurate, or one of them won't be accurate anyway. The main point is that $1,920,260.78 is accurate, and that is appropriate for the purchases for the period of March and April, and that's what I'll recommend here this evening. And if we do get a detailed summary that finally matches, we'll share that with you as well.
Very good. Thank you. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Please vote. It is approved. Financials, anything else?
I just wanted to share one other thing. On the Treasurer's report, we have not a glitch necessarily, but the report that we got from PFM that was dated March 31st did not include two major transactions. One was a transfer to Bremer of $1 million to meet payroll and fringes and so on, and the other was an IDEAS payment that came from the state of a little less than $1.7 million. And so if you look on the Treasurer's report on the very last two lines, you'll see them being stated as outstanding. And so to make things work, to balance things out, we did include those two outstanding items. One, the transfer to Bremer, the other, the IDEAS report that we received from the Minnesota Department of Education. And so we did call PFM and asked if we could get a revise, and they said, no, we can't do that at this point in time. So anyway, that's...
No MASBO certificate for them.
Well, I'm not sure on that, but anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, point that out.
Board forum, anybody like to bring anything up? Administrator's report.
I'll go ahead and summarize some of the items from each of the reports, and hopefully you're finding time to read through them as well. In my report, I just shared a little bit of information that we got feedback on our World's Best Workforce Plan summary from the 2016-17 school year, so we're working on figuring out what to do with that moving forward. A reminder to all of you that next Tuesday, the 24th, at 11:45 is when our 24 student Rotarians will plan and conduct the noon Rotary meeting, so you're all invited. It's pretty cool event. Darcy shared information in her report, among other things, about kindergarten roundup and sort of details of what was included in that, and certainly now we start to monitor how kindergarten enrollment for next year begins to stack up. And then she also shared information about something called SMART, which is Stimulating Maturity through Advanced Readiness Training, and I know we've had some folks who were trained in that and are working to implement it, and seeing a lot of excitement from them, so just something you might want to read about. In Jeremy's report, he shared information about, details about a transition to a school-wide title program for next year at Parkside and Westside. So that's something that we'll probably need to have Jeremy come in and talk about a little bit here in the next month or so. And then also, and I'm not sure if one of these got bumped because of the weather, but a couple events coming up to recognize reading and literacy at Westside. The Literacy Roundup on Wednesday. Tricia, do you know if that's still happening? I thought I heard something today. Donut, yes. That's what I thought. And then the Mustang Grill and Chill on April 27th, assuming that it's not snowing or having a blizzard that day. So just a great opportunity to celebrate reading and literacy. In Mary Kay's report, she did a nice job sharing information about the after-school program and just the growth that's happening there. And she also shared the 3 winners of the 6th grade 4-way Rotary Essay Contest, who are Hannah Gordon, Jake Novotny, and Cadence Brink, and I think they're coming to the Rotary meeting tomorrow, along with their parents, to read their essays, so that'll be cool to hear. In Brian's report, some end-of-the-year events that you want to make note of. May 16th is the Honors Convocation. I believe that's at 8:05 a.m. at the high school. May 23rd is the Pride in the Tiger Foundation Senior Scholarship Banquet. It begins at 6:30 at SMSU, I'm guessing in the upper level of the Student Center, and June 1st is graduation at 7 p.m. And then Brian also shared some information about college credits that are being earned by MHS students, and if my math serves me correctly, I think those credit earning opportunities will save families over $140,000 this year. So that number continues to grow, and that certainly is good. In Michelle's report, she shared that the afternoon CNA class took their certification test on April 9th, so last Monday, I believe. I haven't heard the results of that yet, but I know we've had pretty good success with those in the past. And then we had 3 Maytech students who competed in the Skills USA welding competition and all finished in the top 25 in the state, and I believe one of them finished in 3rd place. Mr. Remy shared something that I hadn't heard about, and that's will affect us a little bit. The State High School League Board of Directors changed the requirements and procedures for cooperative agreements. We have cooperative agreements in place primarily with Lakeview and RTR. Now, in order to get approval, we have to contact all of the schools in the conference and make sure that we have their approval. We've never had to do that before, and section as well. So that's something that might impact us in the future. Just another hurdle to jump over, or hoop to jump through, depending on how you look at it. Amanda shared some feedback on the sessions from March 28th, the Professional Development Day, and then also information about new health and phy-ed standards that need to be fully implemented by the 2021 school year. And then Jim, in his report, shared information about the EL program and the services, different levels of service, if you will, that are taking place. So I think our administrators did a nice job keeping everybody up to date this month.
Good. Any questions?
And Bruce and the student report as well.
Right. Just a couple items that I want to share. A great staff development learning experience is the Service Cooperatives RMIC conference, annual conference that took place last week. And we had great representation from our staff, not only in the district office, but from some other locations. A lot of learning, and certainly a good way to network and be able to talk to some people that are maybe in a similar position that you might be in, like payroll or whatever, and talk about some of the issues that you might have, some common problems or whatever. So I think that's a great thing that we do, and we're certainly fully supportive of staff development for all positions, not just teachers or administrators. I think it's important that everybody gets on the bandwagon and continues to learn and move forward in their positions. The other thing that I wanted to share was our health insurance renewal. We had, as I said in my report, the school insurance pool advisory group that met and set up the criteria for the range of decreases to increases. That ranged from a 5% decrease to a 19% increase. Marshall Public Schools was very fortunate to have a renewal of only 3% increase. We were supposed to have a 4.5% increase, but through this whole process that we go through, that was brought down by 1.5%. So it's good news, and this really is a string of, I'd say, at least 5 years now where we've had a 0% increase. We had a 9.5% decrease last year, and so I think the fruits of our efforts on a number of different fronts are paying off, our wellness and well-being efforts, along with trying to really increase the number of individuals and families participating in our insurance plan. And we've increased that by a significant number. So,
thank you. ladies?
The high school's juniors were supposed to take their ACT on April 3rd, but due to the snow, school got canceled, and so did our ACT got canceled.
So juniors are back on to college, and the ACT is rescheduled for April 21st. So we're supposed to go to college on Tuesdays and Thursdays, second half of lunch.
Seniors and juniors are of course getting ready for prom.
And Marshall Public Schools and ACMC are teaming up to offer athletic physicals for the 2018-19 school year next year.
And the MAELC Grant Marshall High School is proud to announce the acceptance of a grant proposal to Minnesota Agriculture Education Leadership Council.
And the AP exams are coming up the first couple weeks of May, so good luck to all of the examinees.
Middle school. On April 30th, there will be athletic physicals offered at the middle school.
At the West Side, this week students are taking the MCA math tests. Then next week they'll be taking the MCA reading test, and the following week they'll be taking the STAR reading test, and then the MAP math test, and then finally the MAP reading test. So good luck to all of those exams.
I had to skip school that week. So.
We heard about that,
yeah.
And at Parkside, kindergarteners are having their concert on April 19th, while first and second graders have theirs on April 12th. And on May 2nd, the second graders will be having classroom plays, and Title I is hosting another family night on April 26th.
All schools just a little over a month until the end of school. Yes. Some tips for the tests coming up: good night's sleep, good breakfast, and a positive attitude. Good luck to all test takers this coming month. And we're having our Cultures United event that's coming up on May 4th. May 4th. It's on Friday after school from 5 to 8. We would like you all to be part of it, because as the president of that club, on the behalf of my teammates and all the members that are in it, we put a lot of effort into it. We are trying to educate, I guess, the community about our cultures and what we do, and we just want to spread a little bit more positivity. I guess maybe a lot more positivity. I guess, I don't know, but we're selling tickets, and we have advanced tickets, and advanced tickets are only $4 for adults and kids too. And if you want to buy your tickets on that event today, then the tickets are going to be $6 for adults, and kids under 12 years old $4. So so I would recommend all of you guys to buy the advanced tickets, because they're $2 cheaper, so that's a lot.
Where is it going to be held? The cafeteria?
Yes, it's going to be in the cafeteria, and we're going to have a lot of different foods. So you just pay $4 to get in, and you get any kind of food you want, because we have lots of different foods, But if you want a second round, then you have to pay again. Only $4 though, not more. So
Thanks for organizing that.
Yes, definitely, and we will all hope that you all attend.
When did you say it starts?
It starts at 5. We just want people to arrive safely. The whole performances and everything are technically going to start at 5:30, but we want people to come and settle down, because we're going to have henna. I don't know if you guys saw those tattoo things that we have that stay for like a week. So if someone comes earlier, like at 5, they can get their henna done while we're waiting for the rest of the community to be part of it and come.
Are either of you taking an advanced placement class this semester?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you taking?
I'm taking AP Calc and AP Euro.
And
Calc and
AP Euro.
And I took AP European History, and now I'm taking Honors American Lit and Honors Chemistry and American Lit.
It's wonderful. Those are tough tests.
Yep, it is.
Wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was at that culture event last year, and it's pretty impressive. Well, I'll be there again.
Did you bring tickets tonight?
No, I didn't. But I will, though. So I just want to know, how many of you guys will be willing to get the tickets, so next time when I come, I can get the tickets. Okay, got it. I'll get it.
Very good, thank you.
Yep, thank you
very much.
Moving on to our discussion items, our first review of policies 614 and 616. Any comments? Next discussion item is school board goals progress update.
Hopefully, Tricia and I didn't miss anything. I think there are 13 different items or events or informational items, I guess, that have taken place since the last school board meeting, sort of falling into the 4 actions that you identified in each of the 2 goals. So 13 different informational items in the 8 action items within the 2 goals. So if or when something comes up that relates to any of the goals or actions that you've identified for your goals as a school board, please let Tricia or me know. We try to include everything that we can think of in these. So it helps when we get input from you, but nice job on those.
Thank you. Moving on to our action items. Our first action item is authorization for administration to move forward with the budget enhancements for the 2018-19 budget. Do we have a motion? I move.
I'll second.
It is open for discussion.
Well, Bruce and I will try to explain this. You also have the memorandum that is included in ESB. And really what that says, I think, in summary, is that as the 2018-19 budget has been developed and all the previously approved budget parameters have been put in, we're looking at about a $300,000 deficit for the general fund for next year. We've met with the school board finance committee a couple times and talked about a variety of different things and looked at budget requests or enhancements. Our administrators do a great job of saying, here are things that our students, our staff, and our families would benefit from. In every school district, Marshall being one of those, the list of what we would like to be able to implement and programs and staffing and everything is longer than the resources that we have available to spend on those types of things. But we've, primarily Bruce and I with support from the Finance Committee, I believe, have recommended 4 budget requests or enhancements for inclusion in and moving forward with next year's preliminary budget. Those 4 are listed sort of in the middle of the memorandum. Adding an assistant girls soccer coach. Remember, we last year we had a junior varsity program and schedule. This year or next year I should say, we'll have a varsity program and schedule, so it makes sense we would need to add another coach. Moving a section of 6th grade to 8th grade to accommodate class sizes and class size guidelines. Adding a section of 5th grade, again, to accommodate class sizes and guidelines. It's not perfect, but I think it's both of those are taking a step to make things better, especially at the middle school. And then adding a district-wide behavior coach, really somebody who can be a resource person, not just for students, but also for staff. Work side by side with our behavioral analyst, who we contract with, I think 25% of the 0.25, I don't even remember, but who comes into the district and supports our teachers, just work side by side with them and hopefully help with student achievement. So when you factor in all of the anticipated costs for these 4 budget enhancements, that bumps the preliminary deficit in the general fund to $419,822, which I don't think anybody's ever comfortable deficit spending, but yet as a board and as a district, we and you have put yourselves in a position to be able to do that for a short period of time. So our recommendation, like it says at the bottom of the memorandum, which you've already had a motion and a second on, is to move forward with planning to include these 4 budget requests and enhancements for next year's budget. So Finance Committee and or Bruce, if you have anything to add, please do so. Or questions?
From a space standpoint now at the middle school, where I think it's a net gain of a section, how are we going to accommodate that?
Bruce, you want to talk about that briefly?
We're going to accommodate that by bringing in portable walls and in essence, putting 2 classrooms in. One's needed for the 18-19 year, and then looking at enrollment for 1920 with the 4th grade class that'll be coming into 5th grade, we'll need another additional classroom space. So as part of that recommended budget request, the cost of these classrooms, the physical space, are included in that amount, besides the cost of the additional instructor.
Any other questions? Hearing none, let's vote. It is approved.
I'd like to, from a finance committee standpoint, thank Bruce and Scott for the great job, the information they brought forward to the finance committee for a dialogue over those 2 meetings, and some of the tough part of making those recommendations, knowing, as Scott said earlier, that there are many wonderful requests coming in, but we can't handle them. And these are the priority ones. So I think Bruce and Scott did an excellent job bringing those options forward.
Note taken. Moving on to our next action item is approval of the 2017-18 calendar revisions. Motion to approve. Need a second.
I'll second.
It's open for discussion.
Well, you said revisions, Jeff. Let's go with revision instead of multiple revisions. But hopefully we won't have to have more than one. I hope we're done
Not
with
spring
snow days.
yet.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, we've had we've had multiple snow days, late starts, whatever this year. But really, our focus has been on 2, the one from March 6th and April 3rd, where we didn't have school. So those really caused us to take a look at what are the options that are available to us. And I won't go through everything in the memorandum, but right now, according to the currently approved calendar, we would have students return to school on Monday, June 4th, I believe it is, and then bump teacher work day to June 5th. Heard quite a bit of feedback. That doesn't really make sense. Is it what's best for kids, best use of time, so on and so forth. So Tricia did a lot of work looking into the minimum number of instructional hours that are required and doing some calculating. And with this recommendation, we are fine, assuming that there aren't any more snow days this year. And our recommendation is to forgive the June 4th student contact day. So the last day of school for students would then be Friday, June 1st. We'd have that be a noon release and early dismissal, largely because of graduation and some things taking place there. Licensed staff would come back for a work day on Monday, June 4th, which is now currently scheduled for Tuesday, June 5th. And then the other part of that involves some flexibility where we would, we have very professional staff, and we would just say, hey, sometime on either June 2nd or sometime between June 5th and the 9th, multiple days, whatever you need to do, come into your building. There are a lot of things you can work on. Clock for 7 hours or account for 7 hours of time. Let your principal know when you were there and when you did that. I think it makes sense for our families. I think it makes sense for our community. We have activities starting, unfortunately, right away on June 4th in the community, and some of our staff will be helping with those, and obviously kids are signed up for them, whatever. So that's sort of our recommendation, with the caveat, like the second to the last paragraph says, if we have any more snow days, then we have to make them up. We don't have that much flexibility when it comes to making sure we have the minimum number of instructional hours. So if you have comments or questions, feel free to ask. I think we've looked at it from a lot of different perspectives.
I think it makes sense not to bring the kids back on a Monday, and also knowing that we do go beyond the minimum of instructional hours required by the State Department. So it's not as though we're not providing the instruction necessary in the school year.
Did you guys object to that, missing a day?
No? You want to come back on Monday?
No, I'm good.
All right, we'll call for a vote. It is approved. Authorization to submit letter of support for the Parkway housing project. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
We received a request from Marshall Leslie, who is the EDA Assistant Director, to put together a letter of support for this private housing development. It's a 100-plus unit that's being proposed. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom are the choices for this this housing development, and 80% of this 100-plus unit development would be market value driven. So you'd be paying, in essence, whatever the market holds to rent this housing. The other 20% would be based on income. 50% of the area median income would also provide affordable housing. Not to say that the other 80% wouldn't be affordable, but this would be technically affordable housing. And I think it's a good thing for Marshall. Having affordable housing and even having housing available is something that really is desperately needed in our community for us to continue to be able to grow and expand and provide opportunity for people that are living in the region, people that might be coming into the region. So it's a good thing.
Very good. Any other comments?
I just have a question. Obviously, I agree. We have affordable housing needs, but this is a private developer. Why are we being asked to support something for a specific private developer?
I think I can find that out for you, Bill.
I'm guessing they're going for federal and state dollars, and they need probably support of.
I just want to be careful of that. I mean, I support the fact we have major housing needs in this community, so I'm not opposed to that, and I just want to make sure we're okay supporting the private development.
They don't get any. They don't get any money up front. No, they're not going to get anything until they approve.
But we're a public entity taking a stance on a private development. We're private individuals standing to.
I think part of that is because they're going to go and have so much of it's affordable housing, and to get that kind of grant reimbursement back from the feds or the state or wherever the money's coming from, and this helps with the approval process.
Okay.
I'm guessing they're going after HUD money.
They need public endorsement for that.
But there would be some concern that we're going to get inundated with a bunch of other people wanting our support for other things.
Yeah,
that would be a concern. I have no problem. I don't have no problem with this.
We also support the tax-free zones for industry.
But that has an impact on us, as we're a taxing authority. I don't see that criteria in here at all. I just want to make sure that we're ethically doing the right thing.
I think your point is well taken, Bill. When I look at challenges to our future that could affect our enrollment adversely, the two things that I see are child care for families and affordable housing. So I think private developer, public, I'm not a developer, I'm an educator, so I don't understand all that as well as you do, but we need housing in the community. So I totally understand your point. I do think it's the right thing for the letter of support, but I think it's a good opportunity for Bruce or I to expand that dialogue a little bit more too and just understand it better. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Motion is approved. Anything else?
Bill, did we bring up our meeting with Cal? Did we do that, Les? With the county commissioners?
No, but I was representing SMSU, so go ahead.
Bill and Cal Brink asked Bill and I to testify before county commissioners to get support for Department of Transportation plan with overpasses on the corner of 59 and 23 and 19 and 23. And they have to have so many points to get approved. There's $400 million over the next 4 years, was it, Bill? For the state, for these kinds of projects. And according to Cal, the number of points that are generated will be how they will be funded. And his sense right now is that since the initial plan came from the Department of Transportation to begin with, based upon the data that they have, or accident rate and so forth, we have a good chance of probably getting both of those funded. And the question was, if they do get funded, how soon would that be built? And they'd be built by 2020, the overpasses. And each of us knows, driving up through Wilmer, all of theirs are overpasses. So it would be a great benefit to safety. And so it's our hope that, and the county commissioners did approve support, but it's our hope that that happens for the safety of all of us. And I think when did they say where they were going to
It
go?
was within the next month and a half.
Yeah, we would know.
And then it would, if it was approved, then it goes to design and public comment. And our goal with that day was just to encourage the county commissioners to submit a letter of support so that the process and discussion could move forward. Nothing was final, but it just kept the process moving forward.
But they approved support,
without county commissioner support, that it would be difficult. And the county commission already had publicly passed a resolution to support it. This was just a follow-up hearing, if you will.
Yep.
Just some extra information in regards to our previous discussion. The city of Marshall would not be able to develop this project without TIF issuing a TIF note. So that's maybe there's TIF attached.
Okay, that makes sense.
So.
That makes sense.
Good. Guess what? Meeting's over.